Welcome to Tough Boxing on the Road Part 2. I'm here in Birmingham at Eastside Boxing Gym with none other than former British light heavyweight champion, Mr. Shakan Pitters. Shakan, how are you today?
Brilliant, man. It's like any other, day here in the gym. We're all training towards fight dates, our goals, and just trying to smash the next person next to us as well and outwork each other. So yeah, that's typical day at Eastside.
So you're back with a bang. Fifth round demolition of Jermaine Springer. Made a real statement on that night on TV. Just your reflections on the fight and your viewpoint on your performance.
Yeah, I feel like I've, since the defeat, I've kind of got a bit of a chip, more of a chip on my shoulder. Just the kind of character I am. I'm very competitive, and I just felt that when I speak to my management, John Pegg, we was never going to get a journeyman who's had like 300 losses and all that. That's not going to develop me. The fight that I lost, I was in, and we was winning on two of the judges' scorecards, but it's what it is. It's boxing. Better man won on the day, and we needed to come back and make a statement, which I believe anyone or any of the light heavyweights would have been in the ring with me that day. That would have been my intentions to, make a statement like that, like how I did. And Jermaine Springer is known to be a tough guy and a tough opponent, and credit to him as well.
Against Jermaine, you outboxed him, you outfoxed him, you outclassed him, and then there was a big power shot at the end that took him out of the game. Obviously, moving back to the Craig Richards fight, it was an unfortunate night for yourself and the team as well. Sort of the immediate, reaction and feelings after that fight.
Yeah, mate. I was proper kicking myself, because it's the two genuine mistakes I've made in that fight was two mistakes we're trying to rectify here. Whilst in training, sparring, and so on. But it's boxing. It's that sport where one punch, one mistake, anything. We put our neck on the lines, and anything can happen in the ring. But it happened, as I say. Lost to the better man on the night, and I just brushed myself off and go forward, keep moving forward. It's a fight I'd love again. So I'm sure we'll see each other down the line, but if not, I'm just gonna keep pushing upwards in the right direction.
Once you'd gathered your bearings after that defeat and went back into the gym with Paul, what specifically did you guys work on to improve your game?
It was the mistakes again. Backing up too easy towards the ropes, which is something where I'm a bigger guy now. I'm a strong guy, and I didn't have to really back up, too much towards the ropes. And I think that's what I've done. And sometimes, like I said, in the ring, you can train for years, months, however long, and that one night, some things can go wrong, and I just think it's lapse of concentration probably, which I was made to be punished by. And at this level and that, when you do make an acute mistake, you can get punished. And it's something going forward now I've learned, and we've reflected back on it. And as I said, I dust myself back. I was straight back in the gym. I had time to reflect on the fight. Watched it a few times and my mistakes, and this is where I'm at now. Just coming back with that intent. That intensity, that high intensity, and obviously rewriting all my mistakes in the fight before.
Looking at your career up to that point, convincing win over Dex Spellman, fairly straightforward points victory over Chad Sugden, winning the Ultimate Boxer, and tearing through all these opponents. Then on the night against Craig, the general consensus was you didn't look like your normal self in that fight. Normally. The wins are convincing, and you put on a show and you come out the dominant force. But on that night, something didn't seem to sit right with yourself. That's how it was perceived. Yeah, was it a good camp?
We did have a good camp, but we also had a rocky camp in the sense where, and I don't like to seem like any excuses. At the end of the day, it's not an excuse because he had the same day as us, we had the same day as them. You put it together, but as I say, sometimes camps don't come correctly. My team, Paul Coonahan and John Pegg at the time, they both had COVID, so that was something which hindered obviously us having that initial contact and training. I had to do other things in new ways. I also had an injury, to my nose and other things where I had to obviously, which is why it got pushed back. And then even the night before, I was 7 pounds over my weight. I don't know how, because I'm someone who normally very much underweight and things like that. I shouldn't have to touch a sweatsuit, you know, but these things happen. I don't know, maybe it was a miscalculation in fluid or whatever it may be. I'm a big guy, my body's always up and down changing, but it's what it is, as I say. You know, it initially probably wasn't the best of camps, but nevertheless we had the same day in the camp, so it's just one of those. It's boxing. Better guy won in a day. His things got, you know, he fought a good fight. He had a good game plan, and that was it. You know what I mean? There's not much more to really say on it.
Shaq, in comparison to a lot of other fighters that are at your level, you've not had that extensive amateur pedigree, but you've come so far in such a short space of time, and you've achieved so much in your career. Just talk to me a little bit about how it first started out for you. What was your inspiration to get into boxing in the first instance, just rolling back the years a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't even have boxing in my head. You know, I started as a footballer. I was at West Bromwich Albion on the books there. My dad was a professional boxer, my uncle as well. So it's something where I grew up just watching my dad on the TV, seeing him box, and then like he was a trainer at Small Leaf Amateur Boxing Club, which is here in Birmingham. And my older brothers, Andre and Anwar, they were both boxing. My oldest brother, Sean, they were all boxing, but Anwar was the more prominent one, as he went the furthest in like the ABAs and things like that, you know, and he's represented England and things. So he the one was leading the boxing. I was just a 6 years old kid. I had no one to look after me at home. My mum was working, so my dad just forced me to the gym. But I used to enjoy, you know, hitting the bag, the running side of things, because it was always good for my football, which I was doing. I found myself just that fit. I couldn't stop running. But then, like, I think after when I got released from West Brom and I had a few injuries, after like playing for other smaller clubs, local teams like House Owen and things, I just kind of lost the love of football. Like, not to say that I'll quit or anything, I just lost the love of it. I think I outgrew the sport, started working. But I was never someone who can only visualise myself just being someone, not that I haven't, look, anyone who's working and got a job, obviously it's good, and especially in this time everyone needs one, but I always envision myself, you know, doing something for myself and along the sporting side, because I've came from a sporting family. So yeah, I then about 20, how old was I? 22, I walked into a gym which John Pegg was on doing as well, but it was my first amateur coach, Paddy Fowle, Second City. Walked in there, didn't really have any motivation to do it. I just wanted to do it because I didn't want to live in a world where I'm thinking, what if I did it, or if I never done it, or, you know, I'd like to just get my answers and all that. If I done it, if it worked out, good. If it never worked out, at least I know where I was at. So that's what I done. I went in there, and it took me probably my third time to actually walk through the doors. I went there and I thought, nah. Went there, looked, I thought, is it what I want to do? No. Come back, and then another boxer who was in there, he's kind of just like, you know what, come in and talk to the coach. So I kind of went and spoke to him, and then we got down to the nitty gritty of things, explained to him my situation, and he invited me back. So I thought, okay, I can't not come now. So yeah, from there I started doing it, but I never took the amateurs as seriously as like I'm taking the pros now. As I say, I didn't have a reason or drive or anything. I wasn't really a mad fan of the trophies either. So I was just, you know, going there for the training, doing it. I had a few fights, whatever. But when my daughter was born, she's 5 now, she's going to be 6 in November. When she was born, literally, that was just my go-to to just say, okay, we're going to make the transition to pro. I know what I got to do. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of doing. And that was it. It was just went from there. I do believe, like, for example, obviously Ultimate Boxer was a fight where it got people knowing me a bit more. But when I fought Dex Bowman at York Hall for the English title, that was like, Dex is a good friend of mine now. I class him as a friend in boxing, and it's something where that was a good learning fight as well for me. You know, when everyone has a good, solid learning fight, what makes you a better fighter, that was a good learning fight for me. I think Dex is a good fighter, and it was something where I had to dig deep in that fight. And of course, I've done many mistakes in that fight, but it was a good learning fight for me, which has made me better now. and progress better in these years of a pro now. But I still feel like I'm not even at my prime yet. Although I'm 32, I'm still not at my prime as a boxer. I'm not a finished article because I have been learning on the job. As you said, you know, it's been a very short kind of career compared to, you know, an inexperienced career compared to a lot of other ones, boxers, even in the light heavyweight division, like your Arthur's Bratz's, who's had a good stellar amateur career. So, of course, I'm not reached my prime or peak yet, and I've still got plenty more to do. But I've won and achieved good things as well, and plenty more to come, you know, God willing. So that's where I'm at with boxing right now.
Now you've effectively buried your demons after the knockout of Jermaine Springer. What's the blueprint for the future? Is there any sort of dates penciled in the diary for a follow-up fight coming up in the near future? Are we looking at 3 or 4 sort of, not tick-over fights, but challenging opponents and then move up to, you know, title contenders again? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, all my fights now are going to be challenging opponents. As I said, you know, straight away when I spoke to John after this, you know, even my team obviously still believed in me anyway, and they knew. But I made it clear as well. I said, look, you know, I want a good name. I don't want no one who's just going to come and, you know, I want someone who's going to bring it. And all my fights now should be and will be people with winning records, people who are good fighters, because I want to be in them good fights. But the journeyman fights are not going to develop me, you know. I need a fight where I'm going to have to be forced probably to dig deep. May have to get in a fight, may have to use my ability and skills. That's where I'm at now, because if I want to push on to, you know, like the European and the other international titles and world level, these are the, you know, the actual obstacles you're going to have to overcome in this sport. And I think doing it that way is going to make me, you know, prepare better for it. So hopefully July 17th, I believe that's a day what we're talking with Hennessy now, and hopefully it should be a title as well. Each year I've won a title in my career, and I'd like to keep that momentum. You know, if I could win a title or 2, I'd like to continue that for sure.
So with the Craig Richards fight, it was well publicised that you were actually up on the scorecards until obviously the back end of the fight. Is that something that you can just kind of put to one side now and move on from, or would you like to get redemption?
I'd 100% want a rematch. That's nothing personal, it's just me as a person. But I'm not going to spend my career chasing that, because I've never spent my career chasing anyone. If it got offered and it was for anything reasonable, of course I would. But at the same time, it still remains the same, where Shakan Pitters has got his journey ahead of him. So I've got to focus on my journey. If it's meant to be, hopefully it will be. If it's not meant to be, then it's what it is. But I'd 100% want that rematch, just to obviously revenge what happened, you know, the last. And I do believe I could beat him, and I will beat him. But not take nothing away from him. He's a decent fighter himself, obviously. But it's something where I do believe I could beat him and would beat him. And, you know, it'd be a good fight again for the fans. I know what I'd have to do in this fight if I was to fight him again. And, you know, I'm sure he'll feel the same, like he could win, so it makes a good fight. But I believe it's one I'll come on top with. But we're heading in our direction anyway. As long as I keep winning and he keeps winning, or whoever keeps winning the top light heavyweight scene, I'm sure a lot of our paths will cross anyway. So these are fights that will happen.
From your point of view, would you say it was a good benchmark to see how Craig performed against Bivol for a world title? Looking at that fight and seeing the fight transpire and Bivol got the victory and retained his world title, does that demonstrate how far you've come in boxing and your ability?
I mean, a lot of people do say that, but I can't take anything from you know, Craig's performance against Bivol. That's Craig, and it's not. I'm not in the ring with that or anything like that. He's a decent fighter, yeah, but I can't benchmark all my success on another fighter. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's Craig doing what he has to do. Bivol is a great fighter. You know, he's world number 2, is he? So he's number 2 in the world rankings. But I do believe, nevertheless, that I can mix it up with these fighters. Obviously, as I said, I'm still learning. I've still got these fights to get through. We'd like to go to the route of, you know, probably European or other routes as well, you know, other titles or whatever it is. But this is what people have to understand. Once you do reach that kind of level, it's then a set to staying more at that level. You can't really you don't want to be seen to going up and down in the British and world or whatever level it is. But looking ahead one step at a time, We'll deal with whatever we're going to have in July 17th. I believe it is another title. They're discussing what it will be, and fingers crossed, that gets over the line, and yeah, we get the victory there, and then we could push on for all these other major titles for sure.
Sitting here today, Shaq, in 12 months down the line, realistically, where do you want to be in your career?
In 12 months' time, next year, this time, I'd want to be challenging for a world title. But as I say, one step at a time, and I've got to I'm a busy fighter anyway, so I think like 3 or 4 fights time, that's where I want to be. And I normally do fight about that time with the year anyway. But it's not rushing the process, it's all about being smart about it and, knowing when the time's right and, learning and having that ability in my own self to, want to keep striving forward in the right direction, which I believe we are doing and me and my team's doing, so yeah.
At some point in the future, if you had the option to fight either Anthony Yard or Lyndon Arthur, which one of those fighters would you go with?
All depends which one would make sense for me as well. Obviously, I know they're both, again, good fighters. I respect both of them. But it all has to make sense on my career. I know Arthur's obviously higher in the rankings right now. He's got the belts as well. So obviously, speaking right now, that would make more sense for my career. But they are both good fighters, and I'm sure someone like Arthur now is probably wanting to push on to that scene himself, like the world scene. He's got a good rank in him, but whatever one makes sense, anyone really. I want to fight good fighters, I want to be in good fights, and I want to, I think I got the ability to beat a lot of them. But it's something where, again, everyone's in their own lane in this division, man. When our paths cross, they cross, you know what I mean?
You touched on your daughter being a massive inspiration in driving you forward in your career and in life. Do you just want to talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes she comes here. As much as I don't even want to involve her in the boxing, but I have no choice but to bring her sometimes, you know what I mean? And she comes and she'll never, she's got everything, her iPad, everything over there sitting down, and she'll never really want to sit there. She knows where my bag is. She'll go and grab her own little gloves out, and then she'll start hitting the bag or talk to Soggy and everyone else and just bantering with everyone. But she drives me, it's mad. I think, unless you've got kids yourself and you've held them, then it's hard to explain that feeling. Because the moment I held my daughter, that just changed my whole world, you know what I mean? That just literally changed everything. And I just thought, okay, I've got a reason now to know why I'm doing something. It's not just I'm doing it because I enjoy whatever, I'm doing it because I know I could change her path and pave her future. So this is why I like her around with me. I'm someone when I'm in training camps, I do like her around, although she can't be everywhere where I am. But I do like her around because she's just that. She'll tell me straight. Like, my daughter's the kind of person where she'd look at me straight and say, "Dad, you need to do this better," or "I don't want you to go, you better beat him up." And she just tells me as it is, you know what I mean? So it's what it is, man. She gives me that drive and motivation to want to do better and do more, for sure.
Shaq, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you today. Yeah, thanks for the invite down to the gym, and we'll look out for that fight announcement soon.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime, man. Thanks for taking your time out to come down, and it's always a pleasure seeing you as well, man. Awesome.
And that wraps up another episode of Tough Boxing on the Road. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again soon.